Alrighty, we are now operational. And what do I have going on in the background there? That's get rid of that. Video.
Your plane keeps changing color.
My plane keeps changing color. Oh yeah, I got it on fade.
Yeah.
It's doing that. That's on purpose for effect. Well, hello everybody. Max and Max's Models here, and we are live on the interweb with another scintillating episode, number 206. Can you believe that? And I'm sitting here playing, engineer, because I got 3 screens up here, none of which are actually synced with each other, so I'm not sure, which one. It's like when somebody's got a lazy eye. Which one am I supposed to focus on? So anywho, I guess I'll just leave the OBS window up and let that be my guiding star. Guys, got a couple of things to talk about tonight. One of which will be the Aurora C-141 Star Lifter that they just repopped. We're all. I got started on mine. I was gifted one from the nice guys up at Atlantis, with the understanding that I'd give them my opinion of it. Oh, I thought this thing was off the edge, Ken. It's actually something on the edge of your screen, but it doesn't. No, it's not. Hold on. You know what? Who cares? Lowest production values on the internet. I'm proud of it. Somebody's got to turn something down. I'm hearing.
Working on it. There we go.
Okay. So anywho, we're also going to talk about dioramas, and we are going to talk about lighting and stuff. And I guess the first thing to start off with, since I have it right here, first off, a thank you to Mr. Nicholas in Plymouth, Michigan, who sent me this. This is Mylar silver, and it's great for making like mirrors on cars and things like that because it's genuinely reflective. And it's also used by a lot of people to make windows on spaceships, so it looks like a real window. And if I am not mistaken, one of the documentaries I saw on model makers was they use this stuff in Hollywood on spaceship models and stuff like that, so that as the camera does passes, the reflected light and everything, it looks like a real window. Adds some character to it as it moves around. So thank you, Mr. Nicholas, for that. And I believe that he's up in Plymouth, Michigan. And so I appreciate that. I just got that out of the P.O. Box today. And given that I'm starting to move towards doing something I swore I'd never do again, lighting kits, I titled off to Hurricane Hobbies and bought a few things to practice with, including, what do you call this kind of bread box or bread basket or
breadboard?
Breadboard. And some cables for the breadboard. And an on-off switch, some LED cable. I wasn't sure if I needed the strippers. It turned out the ones I did have, I was trying to use them backwards. I went out today and went, oh, yeah, they work when you go that way with them. So, Ken, why don't you, for those who don't know, explain what a breadboard is.
A breadboard is so you can quickly prototype a circuit without having to do any wiring. You have to do the wiring, but you don't have to do any soldering to put it together. And
what is the wires just stick in there and unplug and that's it? I mean, because these wires are made for, I haven't even tried it yet. I guess we can just goes right in there.
Yep. Okay. Right. Now the holes that are on the outside, there's 2 rows that go along the edge, one for positive and one for negative. And all those holes that are in the middle, those are connected together electrically vertically, so that
this way, or am I holding it the wrong?
The other way. Right, they're connected together vertically. Those five holes. There's 2 sets of 5 holes. Those 5 holes are all connected electrically together, so you can put in multiple components without having to solder them. And then, if you need to if you need to create an electrical path from there to someplace else, you just put it in one of those holes and stick it in the other place.
So they're connected this way.
In the middle.
In the middle, yeah. The
2 rows
2
on
on
the other
top and
side.
2 on bottom. One's blue and one's red.
That's those groups that go sideways. Those are connected together so that you can easily take power across there and then just jump it onto the board when you need it.
Okay. But if I peel this off, it's not going to reveal the back. It's just sticky back there.
Probably.
Okay, we'll get into that. You and I will probably be getting into that in more detail later. But so if I'm holding it this way, positive, negative. There's 2 rows of each, and
Whatever you want.
and then you go down the middle here. These are all connected this way. So whatever I plug in there will be powered by this positive and this negative.
Well, there's 2 rows. There's 2 vertical rows of 5. You can see where it's split in the middle. Okay, they're not connected across the split.
Okay, so this is basically 2 independent boards.
Yes.
Okay.
That way you can take like an IC, an integrated circuit, and you can just plug it into that middle row right there, and each row of 5 has access to each one of those pins.
Okay. You and I'll be talking about that a lot more in the future, I'm sure. And just a little battery off-on switch, and a couple of these off-on switches are actually go on radio controllers. The replacement switches, but they were the only other off-on switches he had. This other one's just an inline off-on switch, which is what everybody puts off the battery. So they don't have to hook the battery up to turn their lights on their diorama. They just click the button and everything comes to life. But again, I know disconnect the battery before I do any work on it. Else, well, we all know what happens when you don't. So, lighting a diorama. Now, I see a lot of really impressive illuminated dioramas at the shows and stuff. Some of them even have working things on them, but usually they'll have buttons along the bottom that turn them off and on, or on the model themselves. What every time Ken looks at his screen and snickers, I'm like, what did they say?
Sluggo says, I was a CAD-CAM circuit board programmer for 20 plus years. Circuit boards turned me off.
Dad jokes. All right. Well, why not? We're mostly dads. So, anywho, I've noticed everything that I have seems to run off 9-volt batteries. All the stuff that I was sent to me, and I guess that's not uncommon. But if you want to... a 9-volt can power quite a bit when it comes to like LEDs, though, right? Ken, I say a 9-volt can power a lot of different stuff if you're talking about LEDs, right?
In series, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can put several of them in series, or you can put one big, a larger resistor in series with one LED. 9-volt batteries don't put out a whole lot of current. So they're good for smaller circuits, but if you want something bigger, you got to get more power to it.
Define a bigger circuit.
20 or 30 ICs, maybe a couple dozen. I don't know, maybe 30, 40 components. It depends.
All right. Let me give you a mission specific. All right. I lit my USS Enterprise from Star Trek. One of the earlier, it was like a early 70s vintage. So it still had the ribs. For those who don't recall, the first model Enterprise is what?
Number Crazy says, yeah, I fear for Max's safety.
Me, electronics, what could go wrong?
And a big old hot soldering iron.
Woohoo! Oh boy, I did sting myself a few times, but nothing bad. So the early USS Enterprise model from AMT was not really all that accurate. But of course, remember the show hadn't been made yet when they think I guess they'd gotten some pictures of the model that was done, or I don't know, maybe Dayton wasn't even, well, he had to be done with the model before they made the kit. Maybe, I don't know, Steve, maybe they did just make it off of drawings.
You just had a video up about that on YouTube like 2 days ago.
Yeah, there is a guy out in Nashville or somewhere who does some real good Star Trek history videos. And some of the stuff, by the way, I had already covered. So, the stuff that's important to us nerds. I'm sure most of you guys are aware that in the original episode of Star Trek, the one with Jeffrey Hunter, When you see the Enterprise, what are you giggling about?
Greg says, too bad nobody makes a model electric chair. That would almost beg for electrocution
I beg to differ.
aftermarket.
Didn't Uncle Fester have one?
No, but he didn't make a model of one for the mass
Well,
market.
that's a kit bash. And you can make it work so easy.
Well,
what was
Garfield's
that?
right, because the first Enterprise kit had lights in it.
That's where I was going to go. The accuracy and action. But before we go there, since they brought it up, tangent one.
It's not a tangent if they bring it up.
Oh, okay. Was it the movie Used Cars, where the judge has all of the execution devices on his desk? I think he had an electric chair and a working little guillotine. He walks his fingers up the thing to hits the button, and the trap door on the gallows drops. So anyway, I was like,
That wasn't Used Cars.
What? That wasn't Used Cars?
No, that was the movie with John Candy and Chevy Chase. What the hell was the name of that movie?
Bill Campbell says, my first model kit, my first lit model was that Enterprise. I flipped the switch on and the plastic melted in several spots.
Yeah, we're going to be getting that in just a second. Yeah, isn't it where because the girl makes the commercial and they doctor it so that she talks about smiles that give them miles, and that's what gets them dragged. I thought that was what got them dragged into court. When you talk about John Candy, I keep thinking Canadian bacon.
Okay, wait a minute. Garfield,
Nothing but Trump was the movie.
Garfield said, bought my wife an electric chair for her birthday. It's still in the box. She never used it, so maybe that's a good thing.
But you know, Ken, he's talking about it melting when he used it.
Yeah.
But you know, to me, the silver lining there is you had current.
Yeah. Yeah, you
and
can say
hopefully
that.
fire insurance.
So my brother gets one back when the show was still on the air. I remember going in his room and seeing it. He was trying to put it together. He had the bulbs in it. Now, this is the one that had the really bad sag on the engine nacelles, right? And if you ever get an original run of the Starship Enterprise, I have two pieces of advice. Well, the same piece of advice for two very important reasons. Don't build it because it's valuable, and don't build it because it's a piece of crap, right? They eventually fixed that, and some of the later ones, including the one I've got, they engineered some stuff to make it a lot better. Now, they were so busy trying to get that thing to the engines to stay straight using these dinky little anchors. All they could have done is put a couple of counterweights, some sinkers or something, up in the Broussard collectors, and it would have given it some balance. But you look at the way those engines are mounted; they're so far out of balance, it's not a prayer. So it was a really poor design. Of course, it was rushed out, and but they didn't really pay that much attention, or they didn't know, because that the top of the saucer section has very distinct ridges and ribs on it, which are not on any of the models, studio models. The very first shot of that thing on television, back with the original pilot, Jeffrey Hunter, shows the ship coming at the screen, and it's in black and white, and that's when they tried to special effects in the camera zooming into the bridge through the dome, if you remember that shot. And for 1964, it wasn't bad, all things considered. That's when Spock was always yelling, "Yes, Captain!" But anyway, well, a lot of people didn't notice that model was not lighted. The lighted model, I don't even think had been built yet. It was.
Didn't they originally tell the model builder not to put lights in it?
That's where I was going to go next. Now, you're talking about the 11-foot model. This was shot with the 3-foot model, which was never lighted. And it was, contrary to what a lot of people think, in the episode where the guy puts the real Enterprise frozen miniaturized on the desk and Kirk looks at it, and McCoy and Spock are on the landing party, and he actually brings the real Enterprise down from space and shrinks it to about that big, and it's on the table, and Kirk looks in, you see his face through the view window and everything. That was the 3-footer that they used a lot. That was not a AMT kit like a lot of people thought it was. The the thing about though was when they built the big one, when Dayton built the big one, he asked Roddenberry up front, "Do you want me to be able to light this thing?" He goes, "No, we're not going to light it." And he even, I think in his book, he even mentions, he wrote a book about building, which I haven't been able to find a copy of, but enough information's come out. And he said that I just had a feeling that he wasn't going to stick with that. And sure enough, they had the ship, and a lot of people realize it was marked on both sides fully, and it was going to sit on a center post. Then, of course, they changed their mind. Yeah, we want it lighted. So he's got to go cutting up what he had just built, making room, putting all that stuff in there as an afterthought. But the worst part was he had to put all of the electronics sticking out the port side of the ship, which is why you almost always see it from the starboard side. They did make a reverse set of decals that were backwards so they could get a few passes of it with the numbers backwards so they could flip it around and make it look like it was going the other way. And in some of those scenes, if you freeze frame and look real quick, you can see the edge of the covering decal paper. Okay? But it's only on screen for a few seconds back when everybody had grainy televisions. So for the time, it was adequate. No, it doesn't hold up today. But a few years after the show had gone off the air, when the ship was going to like community colleges and things like that to be displayed for a few days, one of the techs that was in charge of it actually had a big set of reverse decals that were made for it that weren't used. And that set of decals is still out there floating around somewhere in some collection. The 3-footer finally showed back up, and the Roddenberry family got it back only, a year ago? And it was one that was on the gooseneck stand that he kept in his office. And it was sort of like the mystery of what happened to the two Aurora Green Hornet cars that Andy and his compatriots made. And in case you guys don't know, our friend Andy Anches, who sadly passed not too long ago, made the two cars. He and a couple other guys at Aurora made the two cars that are used in the Green Hornet series. So 1/10 scale, right, Steve?
1/8.
1/8. And from that,
out of wood.
Out of blocks of wood. So it never even dawned on me, not only as a kid, but even as an adult, that those weren't real cars flipping over. I mean, they did such a good job.
The only tip is when they flip over and you see the front of Britt Reed's car, you can tell by the headlights.
No, Steve, you can tell by the headlights.
Oh, okay. But no, the headlights they got all glue in them. You can see that they're glued,
What surprised me though was they didn't just use it for shots like that. They used those cars for several exterior shots. They would build a set around it, a 1/8 scale set. And I was always like, given what it costs for model makers to make this stuff, I'm surprised that they would go through all that trouble just for an establishing shot. But then someone brought up the point, how much do you think it cost to have a union model maker throw together a cardboard set in a day or two, right? And have a couple of camera guys, not even any sound, just a light and a camera guy and a second unit director go out and film a few shots of it, versus going on location, getting permissions, paying fees, dragging out an entire union crew, out on set with trucks and everything else, just to get the same 5-second establishing shot. We can just whip one out of cardboard in an afternoon, and that guy working in the model shop's already on salary. And then I realized they used models for a lot of stuff. What you think of models being used for, when they get blown up or something. They were used for all kinds of relatively benign scenes because it was just cheaper and quicker than trying to go out on location and do it. And
and they disappeared.
Yep. Well, the Enterprise kit, I remember seeing my brother had what they call them, wheat bulbs. Those little
grain of wheat.
Huh? What?
Grain of wheat.
Grain of wheat bulbs, which are basically tiny little incandescent bulbs, and they were pretty dim, and they
it depends on your voltage.
Yeah. Well, and then can you get enough volts to make them bright? That's when you start getting a warp core meltdown for realsies.
Yes. They get real hot too when they get bright.
And because hot light bulbs and kit plastic models, they go together so well. But
put some resistors in there and knock the voltage down.
Because every 9-year-old's an electrician, Ken.
I did it.
Thus, my point. The exception that proves the point. I remember my brother taking matches to it, trying to melt the pylons into place and everything. He struggled with that model so badly. And but he did paint, if I remember right, he did paint when I did mine, one thing I remember to do was, and you get the more modern kits, they have the smooth saucer section. They have all these mistakes knocked out of them. But I decided to light mine completely. And this is just an old AMT kit. So I'm cutting out the windows, and boy, I learned real quick how thick that plastic is. And it's really hard to make thick plastic like that look like a real window, because unless the light's shining straight out the window, as you go around the model, the window gets dark very quickly because the light's not. And I was like, okay, how am I going to make this right? And I still got it on the shelf right now. And it's got a bunch of windows cut out. Well, first off, you paint the inside of the model black as a light shield, a light barrier. And I thought about putting some shiny aluminum foil in there so the light would bounce around more. Okay? But I found these little toys with the flickering LEDs, and I put them in. I just tore them out of the rubber and stuck them in the nacelles. I vacuum formed using red plastic. I vacuum formed the Broussard collectors, shaved those off, glued them on, had the twinkly light. I don't know if you remember seeing this when I had it all working. Had the little position lights working on the. They didn't flicker; they just came on the sides of the saucer section. There's a starboard port lights, and it had a bunch of windows lit up, and it just didn't look as good as I hoped it would. It looked okay, but this turned out to be a lot harder than I thought, and it was all running off of watch batteries, and then eventually, one by one, I don't know if wires decayed or what, but stuff quit working. I didn't feel like tearing it apart to go fix it, and I had the wires holes drilled up so I could run the wires up the pylons to the nacelles and everything, and it took me a long time to build that. And
the one that gets no love is the one from the motion picture.
Yeah, I've got
that
one
kit
of those.
Gets no love at all, and that was a pretty good kit.
Yeah, it actually was. It went together a lot better, and I had the Aztec decals for it, so it's all decaled up. It's actually got a very complex decal pattern on it. You don't realize all the blue borders and everything and all the markings it has. It's way more complicated than the original series one. Which was, I've seen the actual ship and the actual chips of paint. For those who are wondering, it is a light gray. All right. There are people, I have seen people, I was just talking with Trey about this the other day with Ian and Fran and I were out yakking over at his place. And he said that, I was telling him that you've got people who get upset because the airplane's supposed to be painted in goose egg blue. No, it's supposed to be painted white. No, it's supposed to be painted light gray. No one can agree because it appears so many different ways on so many different episodes of the show. You look at the picture of the one that Dayton built, you realize, what?
Trey says, Max, you could have just put it on your shelf. It would have come apart all on its own.
That only happens when I try to RC it. But the science fiction is really kind of finicky. It's not like a real piece of equipment that you can take a nice color photo of on a sunny day and go, these are the proper colors, because the stuff in sci-fi is always the victim of what happens in the special effects process. You look at the actual models and they're usually fairly disappointing up close.
Well, most of the time, if you go with off dirty white, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's in space. There's no light,
Yeah, and that's another thing. The color of the ship would change with the planet it's orbiting's color, or that star's color, or blah, blah, this, or, So, if you want to make your Starship Enterprise accurate, you got to paint them, getting about 6 of them, and paint them in different shades of different colors to be episode specific. But but today, if I wanted to electrify that, I'd probably use the fiber optics or the little.
See, I think you're missing an opportunity.
What's that?
You should go and search out that Gilbert nuclear power plant kit that they sold to kids in the 50s and put that inside your ship, and that'll power it forever. Now, that's a kit bash.
I had a model, excuse me, I had a model train engine a few years ago that I bought that wasn't lit, and I decided I was going to put LEDs in it. Well, I also put a decoder in it so that it would run, and the decoder handles all the lighting. So I hooked it all up, put it all together, and I was really proud of myself. And I put it on the track, and the LED on the back was so bright that it actually went through the locomotive and lit it up.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend looked at it and said, "Oh, it's nuclear powered."
Ken, the 3D printed, very thick 3D printed dome you made me for the C57D. Before I painted it, I might have a picture somewhere. I put it on just to see how it looked and flipped on the lights. Turned out the room lights, and the dome was glowing. Which, by the way, was a pretty awesome effect, but just wasn't accurate. Yeah. And that was from the lights in the bottom that spin around. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, but it ain't right. So I painted the inside black and the outside silver, and that.
You should have took a picture of it. That would have been cool.
I think I did, but lighting kits, it's its own art form. It's tricky, and let's see, that would have been that month. Oh no, okay. Well, there's this flying saucer. Let's see.
Should I tell them about my project?
Go ahead.
With your tank?
Yeah, go ahead. In fact, that's a great thing to talk about.
Okay. I decided that it would be a challenge to take a Tamiya kit that is not designed to be motorized and motorize it. I thought, that could be fun. Well, Max, in his vast collection that he has in this Tarvis...
Thanks to the Blue Troopers.
Thanks to the Blue Troopers, yes. That was one that was donated.
That was the Tyran 5, which is an Israeli captured and modified Russian tank.
Actually, I got it. You want to see the box cover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just disappeared.
That happens with Zoom. If you move it, just a little bit.
All right, hang on a second.
Found it, Ken. Here's the picture I was talking about.
It won't stay in.
It's the Invisible Man's tank.
Okay, there we go. All right, that's about as close as I can get to it.
Hold it up a little higher.
I can. If I do, it'll disappear.
Okay, I think that's a T55, judged by the gap in the first and second road wheel. You can't move straight up just a little bit, maybe a little closer to the camera. Yeah, that looks like a T55. So that Tyran 5, I believe, is a T55. Okay. But obviously highly modified.
Yes. As the Israelis like to do.
Dude,
anyway.
You give those guys any piece of equipment, they'll not only make it work better than you did, they'll do all kinds of interesting things to it.
So here's the chassis, the bottom part of it. And if you look kind of right there at the back of it, see there's a big hole back there. That's where I'm going to put the axle through. But on the model, like I said, it's not designed to have a motor in it, so I have to drill out the shaft. And I also received the other day the little motor, dual motor drive that goes in there. And this is the shaft for, and each one has its own motor. I haven't put the motors in yet, but this just barely fits inside there, and I'm going to have to cut out a little bit of the inside of the chassis to get the axle to fit down in there correctly so it centers through.
What you're going to have fun doing is getting those tracks to bond well enough they don't come apart under pressure when it starts rolling.
Yes, that will be fun.
That's where your soldering iron comes in.
And there's the tracks.
Hold them against your shirt. There you go. Now we can see them.
Yeah.
They know what they look like.
Yeah, there's the tracks that I need to straighten out. Got a heat gun so I can heat it up so it'll take the kink out of it.
Well, you could drop $400 on real scale metal ink tracks.
Or leave it out in the sun.
I just want to make it work. I'm not going to race the thing.
So we've decided to break this into 3 parts. Ken is going to get it operational mechanically. I've got so much on my plate that I think we're going to hand that off to Fran to do the assembly of the kit model and put it all together and paint it and everything. But you're trying to make the turret work also, so explain your evil plan on that, Dr. Evil.
I'm not real sure how I'm going to make the turret rotate. I have some ideas. I have another motor here that I got at Hurricane Hobbies, and it's a single motor. It's all geared down. I could put a gear on that, and then put an inside ring gear on the inside of the turret, and maybe use that to rotate the turret. I'm thinking about doing that. I may just get a servo, an RC servo, and put a gear on that and use that to rotate it. And I'm also going to get a small servo to go inside the turret so that it'll raise the cannon up and down too.
Ricky says you may have to stitch the track together. That's an interesting idea.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, it all seems like a good idea until you try to do it.
Well, there are guys out there, he talks about David Chen and there are others who do motorize these things, but a lot of those guys invest in aftermarket tracks. Your mute Ken. Oh, there, now I hear you.
1B, early World War II. The trick is in the tracks, is to basically sew them together at the same location as you connect them. Okay. I did it on my Jag Panther and it works perfectly. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that.
Why don't you let Fran do it?
I wasn't going to say that. I was not going to say... Fran, I think you just volunteered yourself.
Just trying to make it easy.
No, I think you should. I think you should tell Ken how to do it, because Ken, if I can learn electrics, Ken can learn track repair, vinyl track repair.
We're not convinced you've learned electrics yet. Okay?
Learning.
You've learned.
Still working on the soldering part.
Many LEDs may die in the course of my learnership, but it's a price I'm willing to pay.
Yes. It's what is it on Futurama when Zach Brannigan says, "I just send in waves."
Oh,
waves.
yeah. Oh, I knew they had a 12,000 kill limit, so I just went wave after men until they hit their kill limit and shut off automatically. I'm not sure between Lord Farquaad and Zap Brannigan. I'm not sure who I'd least like to serve under.
Somebody else staples them together. That's a thought. That could be a little trickier, though.
You say Zap Brannigan, all I hear is, the lovely Leela. Yeah, follow me, Kip. I have some musing to do.
Oh, yeah, we could easily go down that rabbit hole real quick.
How do you like the new uniforms, Kip? I don't know, sir. I'm not quite as thrilled by the velour.
Yeah. The red velour.
The red velour. Under Zap Brannigan's command, everybody wears a red shirt.
Yeah. So
that's
my little project that Max is going to paint it.
No, Fran's going to paint it.
Who?
Fran.
He volunteered to paint it?
Yes. I don't know if he knows that or not, but he did.
Oh.
I
just found out now.
No, he and I, Trey and Scott, were having dinner the other night over at Trey's house, and it came up, and I said, Jay, well, you know what? I've got so much on my plate, I don't know when I can get to it. Why not? He's like, yeah, he should be able to do it. Of course, he's got a lot on his plate, too. We're both retired, though. But anyway... and Fran does a lot of armor, so he knows all the, because you know me, I'll rush through it, try and get it done to get on to the next thing. But Fran actually has, what's that word? Starts with a P, patience.
Oh, patience, yes.
Patience. And,
something that you need to learn.
Okay, Ken, for the turret, rotate a small Lazy Susan to serve as a surrogate for the turret ring. Then you can put a small electric motor in it. There you go. That's the ticket.
Where do I get something like that?
eBay. Where else? Amazon. Look for a 3-inch diameter or 2-inch diameter Lazy Susan.
Yeah, because everybody's
go to the dollar store.
For that matter, Ken.
Go to the dollar store.
You've got a Dremel, cut out a 3-inch pair of 3-inch pieces of circles and put a drill hole in them and make your own.
Ken, go to a dollar store. They have Lazy Susans. in different sizes.
2 3-inch ones?
Yeah.
Probably.
Really?
I don't know. Go see. Probably just used a couple of old CDs since nobody uses them for anything else anymore.
That's true too.
Bill said, "See, friend, this is what happens when you don't attend the staff meeting."
Hey, that's my line. So, getting back to the lighting, I've seen some of these amazingly lit starships and stuff, and when I started working on that little Enterprise NX-01, which comes the glue trooper that sent it to me, put a lighting kit in there, and it's one that's got to be soldered and stuff, but I'm like, even that ship, which is relatively basic, it's pretty involved by my standards. But one thing I've learned is these lighting kits come in 2 categories. It's all plug and play, you just snap in a watch battery and everything's all wired up, and you just glue it into place, which is nice. But a lot of them, it's old school, the 10 old kits, it's solder this, everything's solder joint. Use a circuit board, and they're way more involved. But
Cosmetic carousel.
Cosmetic carousel, yeah. Oh, that's like you want to save some money on sanding supplies instead of paying $8 for Tamiya sticks. Go pay $1 for the exact same thing in the cosmetic supply section, the nail files. Half the tools we get are just repackaged from something else. Franz, this is another great unwatched. Remember, Fran, you always have the right to say no. We're going to disregard it and make you build it anyway, but you do have the right to say no.
Bandai ones are plug and play?
Yeah. The lights are, and it's all, a lot of the aftermarket stuff is what requires you, because basically the guy figures out what you need, throws all the servos and resistors and wires in a box, and with a pair of paper instructions, go to it, kid. Here's for all of you who didn't build Heath kits as a kid.
I built Heath kits. I had my first Heath kit.
Well, Paul, I will tell you why not to make it from sheet plastic. Plastic, I have learned, no matter how well you lubricate it, it tends to stick. It doesn't have a good free movement. There's nothing like finding a $3 3-inch Lazy Susan that just is already made for you and it spins real easy. And Paul's right. There are all kinds of weird and useful tools in the beauty
Surplus?
section.
Oh, Skycraft Surplus has a Lazy Susan?
Oh, I used to drive. The other ones have the big bomb sticking out of the roof, right? The Skycraft Surplus.
I went in there. I took pictures. Remember they had the ejection
I went there a long time ago. Oh, they had an ejection seat?
They got an ejection seat. They got a minesweeper, and a piece from the space shuttle. A couple of interesting things in there.
I have to get back there next time I'm down there. Yeah, and Sarah Jane gets, you have the right to say no, but it'll be ignored anyway. So, the primitive, grain of wheat bulbs and everything now are all gone. It's all LED and stuff, and the stuff people are doing is pretty fantastic. And I'm finding this is not a great discovery for most people, but the lights are the trickiest part of the build. Getting just everything to work. And then when you build the model, pushing and pulling and as Madeline Kahn said, as Lily von Stroop, and they're coming, and they're going, and they're coming, and they're going. And, you get everything done, you plug it in, and half the lights don't come on because somewhere you disconnected something while you were molesticating the model to get it all built. And
what's really cool is these incredibly tiny surface mount LEDs that are so tiny, it's like the tip of a fiber optic cable, but it's an LED all by itself.
Oh, Ken, I'm sorry, I brought it up. Here's the picture you were asking about. This is the C57D. I glued the dome that you made for me, and as thick as that thing is, I had no idea that it would turn out to be so translucent just because of its thickness, that it worked like a gigantic frosted light bulb.
Yes, I saw that
Personally,
picture.
I thought it looked cool. I was like, I should just leave it like this, you know?
It's
Yeah,
a
it did
nightlight.
look kind of cool. You can
Yeah.
see the internal structure of it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, but,
Garfield says Tamiya 70103 universal gearbox. The shaft can be installed vertically to turn a turret.
there you go, Ken. No excuses now.
I'm looking to see if that's what this is. 245.
Oh, okay. Since you guys brought that up,
Oh, 245? Is that what he's? Is that what he
No,
said?
70103.
Oh, 70103. Oh, okay.
Oh, Skycraft has a new location. Where are they at now? I didn't know they moved. Of course, I haven't been down there in years. Now, the thing I am about to say, before I get started, I would like to assess blame. And this falls firmly on Trey's shoulders. Okay.
Retirement supplement?
Let's see. Let's see if I can find a picture. Okay.
Well, while you're doing that, do they want me to put the thing together or just leave it apart so they can paint it easier?
No, I mean, I expect you to get everything working, and
Yeah.
get the turret and everything working.
Yeah.
And you can mount the gun because I know you're talking about making the gun articulator go up and down, but you don't have to put like all the little accoutrement on it, all the little grab handles and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just what you need to make it work, and don't glue the body shut the hull because he's going to probably have to. Well, I guess you're going to have to figure out a way where the hull can be open to change the batteries. So you see, Ken, you have quite you've taken on more of an engineering project than you anticipated. So,
I think it's going to be fun.
Absolutely, Ken. That's why we're doing this. Is for fun. It sure ain't for the money because I don't pay that well. You guys may remember recently that Mike Machat's buddy Jim gave me this original Aurora HC-1B Chinook. Back before it was a CH-47, was still the HC-1B, which was its original designation, and he gave me an extra fuselage also. And Trey came up with the great idea. Mind you, we did this without having a drop of alcohol, just to keep that little point straight. Trey came up with the great idea. Wouldn't it be cool if you could, wait for it, get the rotors to rotate together? I'd made the comment I'd love to get the rotors to rotate on it. And he's like, hey, but I have to intermesh them. And one of us brought that idea up. But anyway, the idea of actually making a gearbox with an electric motor so we could have the model on static display with the rotors rotating. So Ken, if you pull off this miracle with the tank, which, by the way, I'm sure you can do because it's been done, this may be your next homework assignment.
So you can be a test.
Now, it just so happens that he gave me an extra fuselage, so we have a donor fuselage. So you could use the donor fuselage to get everything working. And that way, if you have to cut on something or something like that, that's okay. Then once you get the mechanism all set up, I could transfer it to the other one that would be intact. That's assuming you had to damage it. If you manage to get it all together and don't damage it, then great, we can just go with that. I happened to find some original test footage from Boeing Vertol when it made in front of the audience, and they had a fuselage on display right next to it. So that was what I was planning to do with this, was have one out fully dressed out and the other one just a display fuselage, like a walkthrough. And so...
Well, Adam says on the Chinook, the two rotors rotate in opposite directions.
Yeah, we know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they swing... I guess you could say they swing in towards each other. But now here's the thing to remember, Ken, and Trey and I talked about this. You're going to have it do like a slow idle rotation, okay? Because as you know, no, it was Fran and I talked about this, or was it Trey and I? I have got like serious OMS, old man syndrome. And I'm the youngest one here. That's sad.
We get to be our age.
Well, I'm
We'll
blonde.
be
So.
wheeling them around.
You wheel them around.
Yeah.
You're both
Build
going to have
that
to
motor,
do it.
Ken. Get that motorized wheelchair going.
Oh, now that would be real fun.
Hold on. I want my motorized wheelchair to have tracks.
Oh yeah, it'll have
Yeah,
tracks.
that'd be fine.
Just
Yeah,
go
a few
find one
other
of those
little
little.
things.
Just go find one of those little cats. Pull off the cab and put my chair on top of it. I'll be like a Spider-Man supervillain.
Now, see, that should be
Dot
the
track.
next group build.
It'll have a missile
The old
launcher.
Max, a motorized tracked wheelchair.
It'll have a missile launcher on it. A plow in the front from pushing things out of the way.
God,
Little
I can't wait to
canopy
be
for
old.
when the sun comes out.
Can you
know.
make me look old? You make me look forward to being old and infirmed.
You know, a little place to store the shotgun for when the alligators challenge him.
I am the alligator king. But anyway, that would be wicked cool. But the thing you have to remember, the reason the blades can't go very fast is, remember, those are just plastic hubs and plastic blades. You get much speed going, it'll just sling those blades off. And you'll have a legitimate sling blade. But
Not gonna go that fast.
no, just kind of loping along.
You know what I could do? This could be kind of fun. Get one of those cheapy little RC helicopters and take the mechanism out of that.
Been done. They got people that will take the little Chinook helicopter and they'll put like a scale model fuselage on it so it looks right. The problem is getting one that scales out right, so you always have to modify it. But they do make a little RC Chinook, but the problem is it's not quite the right scale. But I gotta admit, that would be cool. But they also don't pick up that much. These plastic bodies are a lot heavier than the ones that go on the RCs. Actually, the way we talked about it was to put it on a diorama would be to have the blades turning, but have it, because when Chinooks lift off, they lift off front wheels first and then go. So just put some rods to the bottom so it's up on its hind wheels with the front wheels in the air with the blades going, and then that would just be wicked cool.
Sluggo wants you to run down the upcoming group builds.
All right, let's take a quick look here. We're going to have to come up with some new stuff for too long because I don't have that many left. We've pretty much done everything. Okay, that's the other project I'm working on. Let's see. Well, more documents. Add first group. That's here somewhere.
Criticella says, I'm having some walking issues, and I've said if I need a scooter, I want it painted up like a NASCAR. Thinking of Kyle Busch number 18 M&M's theme.
There was an episode of Adam 12 where Malloy, they had to deal with some old guy in a wheelchair, and Malloy makes him come in, and Reed goes, "Oh, please, Pete, when you're old, you can't wait to get one of these nurses. I can see you in a black and white wheelchair chasing nurses around." And Malloy just gets his stop and thinks, and gets his big smile on his face. Okay, here we go. Updated build schedule. You've got to be kidding me. The directory isn't valid.
That's not good.
Did I delete it or something?
Was that an icon that you were trying to use to get access?
I'm in Word. It's a Word document. I was going to bring it up in Word, and when I clicked it's build schedule. Open. The directory D update build schedule RTF name isn't valid.
Do you have that directory?
Okay, it just says D/. Let me see. Okay, D. Did I delete the file? Did I delete the directory or something? Well, hell. That's just great. Well, wait a minute. I downloaded this into a video not that long ago. I did a cut and paste.
This is thrilling, Max.
Yeah, this is scintillating stuff, huh? Well, we may have to come up with a whole new list. You know what? It ain't that big a deal. I mean, it's not giving the entire directory saying D : / updated build schedule. Oh, no, just real quick.
So, Steve, what are you working on?
Currently, I have 4 Lamborghini Miura kits that I'm working on. Each one in a different color.
Oh, I love the Lamborghini Miura. They're beautiful cars.
And I'm working on Herb McCandless's 1972 Pro Stock Demon kit. A lot of aftermarket stuff. Decals, engine, wheels, tires. And I'm working on a Firebird Trans Am, Ken.
Yeah, I know.
Well, anyway, so it looks
and
like...
I got to get to the Tamiya build. I got to get something going for that.
It looks like I deleted the file.
Good job.
I was really doing moving some stuff around and purging some stuff. So after the Tamiya group build, we'll...
Look at the trash can.
We only had a few left. Oh, okay. So, well, I delete that pretty regularly, so...
You shouldn't have to. It usually cleans itself out.
Yeah, that it's not here. But, well, so you know what? We just come up with a new list on our own. It doesn't matter. It's all made up anyway. I think we had a Western build. We already did the Dream Car build. Yeah, we're going to have to come up with some ideas for the next rebuilds.
Well, you got the Tamiya one that's due the end of September.
Yes. And if I don't get my butt in gear, it's going to get pushed back. The Betty that I'm working on, the G4M, very straightforward build. I just keep getting sidetracked with other stuff. Speaking of which, I guess now is a good time to talk about the Aurora C141 Starlifter.
What are you doing to the screen?
I have no idea, Ken. I did not do that on purpose. Okay, window capture, transform, fit to screen. There we are. We're all back. Stretch it down a little bit so you guys don't need to see the zoom bar. I have no idea how that happened. But it cleaned up that weird little thing on your left that was on my screen, but don't worry about it. So, let's look at the Atlantis C141 Starlifter. Now, this, let me hop over to the first picture. Okay, this is the kit.
Christopher Jordan says he just sent you at your email a picture of the schedule that you put out.
Oh, okay. Let me...
The Tom Daniel build somewhere in there?
Oh, we already did that one.
Oh, okay.
I should really call TD and get him on the show, but he's a little technology impaired. Here we go. Build schedule. Okay, here it is. Yes, the next one is the Wild West build. Then a nostalgia build, hopefully your first model, Navy jet, and a Russian build. That's all we got scheduled. That takes us through May of 26. So we'll have to come up with some more stuff. So
that's after the Tamiya build.
Yeah. The Wild West build is due December 1st, and that may get pushed back. Because I'm going to do this big Mark/Lindbergh wagon. And that I did it once before. That is a massive build. That's up there with rigging a model ship.
Where'd you find that kit?
It was gifted to me.
Oh.
And I gave the first one to Donovan, my buddy that passed away, who his family has it now, which you see on, I use it on some of the intros that I do because I was really proud of that build. That's a 2.5 foot long kit when it's done, not including the Bandito out there robbing them. And
Ollie's had those about 3 years ago. They had tons of them. They must have, bought the closeout or something.
The kit still floats around, and it's not really that expensive. It is a good kit. When we did our thing on the price of molds because Andy gave us that information. That mold cost Marks, I want to say $150,000 in 1955. So that's $1.5 million mold today. Well, I'd say about 500 grand because molding techniques are automated now. And it's an impressive mold. I mean, it's an impressive kit. They make a very good looking stagecoach when they're done. My only quote unquote, there's a few ways they got cheap on it, which you could fix yourself with some aftermarket stuff. One, they only have 2 horses, so you get the same horse twice, which is, I get it. Those horses with those body cavities were very expensive molds to make because they have deep body cavities, and I can understand why they decided, look, just so I always arrange like the one with its hoofs up and the one with its hoofs down in front and reverse them in the back just to break it up a little bit. Although theoretically, I would think the 2 up front should both have their hooves up because if they were going to pull back, they'd be both the ones where up. But then you have them almost in formation with each other. Aesthetically, doesn't really work as well. The character, the figures, you get the 4 passengers, the bandit, and the 2 guys up top. They really, really high quality. It's a wonderful kit, and it fits well, but it's very complicated. Building that kit is how I learned how a stagecoach works. Both the suspension, the braking, and the steering, because they had the steering system, they have the suspension system, and they have the brake system all in there because it's all exposed. Okay. In fact, when you build the brake system and the suspension system, you will see the technology in the early cars. I immediately like, this is like car technology. I'm like, well, of course. Where do you think car technology came from? In the early car business, they were called coach builders. And think about it, Steve. How many car companies up to the 30s, like Duesenberg? They just gave you the mechanical car. You had to go to a coach builder to get your body.
That's right. Studebaker started out making wagons at the turn of the century.
And then there was Fisher Bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your model builder, if somebody mentions Fisher Bodies, and you think of the Fisher Body model contest.
My dad worked for them.
Your dad worked for Fisher Body?
Mm-hmm. For a while. I don't know how long.
Now, your dad, when he retired from the Air Force, that's when he became a driver, a truck driver, right?
No, he'd been in the Air Force a long time ago, and he got out, and he drove truck for a long time.
But he retired from the Air Force, right?
Not the first time.
Oh, okay.
He is now. Anyway, he got out after, I forget how many years it was, and then he heard on the radio that they were looking for people who'd been in the Air Force. They wanted to re-enlist them. There was a big drive to do that. And he goes, yeah, I'd like to do that. So he went back, and he got his 20 years, I think.
20 back then, yeah.
20 or 30 years or something like that so that he could retire.
But in those days, 20 years made you eligible for a 50% retirement, and you got 2.5% added for every year after that until 30 years, or you're 75%, and they stop adding after that. Most guys, unless you were a general grade officer, you were not allowed to stay past 30 years, normally. I mean, there have been exceptions, of course. Nowadays, it's completely different. Believe it or not, there is no retirement in the military anymore. They do a 401k just like everyone else, which shocked the crap out of me. The big reason, I was in the Army, and we had so many guys that stayed in the Army for 20 years just to get that lifetime pension. And it's only 50% of your base pay. You don't get all the additional money. But they were like, in all fairness, they really didn't have anything going on. They were like, best they were looking at was a factory job. It's like, I'll just stay in the Army, the Air Force for 20 years, get out of Staff Sergeant or E7, and have $600-800 a month coming in the rest of my life. I knew a guy, Mr. Steve, and he's a nice guy. He was a retired Air Force Master Sergeant, like your old man, 20 years. He might have done 30, but I think he did 20. And he got out, got his pension check. Of course, he got the VA in town, so his medical was free. Every morning at 5 a.m., before the sun came up, He was in my convenience store. So when I was going to college, when I got out of the Army, I was working a graveyard shift at a convenience store while I was going to college. And he came in every morning about 4:45. He was like clock. You could set your watch by him. Okay, got a 6-pack of beer, a cup of coffee, and a couple other things. He was going out on Lake Talquin to go fishing. Then by midday, when it got hot, he was done fishing for the day. Went to the little bar that was right there about. I'm sorry, I said Lake Talquin, Lake Jackson. He went up to He went to the little bar that was up there, and had himself a couple of tipples and hung out with his friends and and then he went home to his trailer. He was a single man, and this was his life, 7 days a week. And he was one of the happiest people I ever met. Had his old beat up pickup truck, went fishing every day, drinking beer on the lake, and then cocktails in the afternoon, and off to his trailer, up early, probably in bed by 9 o'clock, so he could be up at 5 the next. It was, some people, that's their joy, and I don't begrudge him it. And one day I was able to hold him up for a few minutes just to ask him about his time in the Air Force. And you'll appreciate this with your dad being stuck out on, what was it, Johnson's Atoll or whatever it was. Yeah. And I was like, you were in there with his, I think he was a communications guy like your old man. I was like, what's like the worst duty assignment? He said, I got stuck in Incirlik, Turkey for 2 years. He talked about being on this freaking mountaintop in Turkey listening to the Russians, this dusty, sandy hilltop. And I'm kind of like, the man paid his dues, and now he's enjoying life, and God bless him for it. It's like us building our models, Everybody's got their passion.
What's funny is that Johnson's Atoll assignment, that was his first assignment, and you can't take your family with you. And
I don't know who he ticked off, but
you wouldn't want to.
Do you remember the movie Flight of the Intruder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when old Fred Thompson's telling Brad Johnson, anyone who fails to give anything less than truth will find themselves in such a place as Adak, Alaska, or Diego Garcia, until their discharge processes. I mean, these were duty assignments that were basically a threat.
Except the one in Alaska, I've been told that a lot of people like Alaska.
Not Adak. it ain't Anchorage or even Allison out at Fairbanks or Fort Wainwright. At least they have beer, and I might add plenty of it. I was there, trust me, I know. That's never mind. What I was about to offer, a little too much information there, but anyway. So back to models.
Yes.
Is anybody even still watching?
Yeah, they're talking about other things.
Yeah. Well, that's what this is a gab session. So, anywho, Fran and Trey are going to wind up getting assigned making the rotors on the Chinook counter-rotate. Now, that would be cool, Ken, if we could make that work. If you make this tank work, that may be your next assignment. Should you choose to accept it.
The helicopter?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to fly, right?
No. It's strictly static flight. Ken, if you make an Aurora kit model Chinook fly, I will be dutifully impressed. For the record, using ST's model rocket engines does not count.
It doesn't count.
I made
a pair of wings on it.
I made an Aurora F-111 fly that way, and I was surprised how well it did fly. And a Monogram F-104, and it actually went pretty straight for a while. I was like, we were at a baseball field up in Gaithersburg, and I wedged a C-65 in the tailpipe of an out-of-the-box crappy build of a Revell Monogram F-104. Lit that thing off. It went straight up. I was like, wow, just like a model rocket, but then it lost control and went all over the place. I didn't care. And the thing was, when it hit the dirt, it was still basically in one piece.
Did it pancake down?
No, nosed we were at a ball field. It just went right in the dirt by the pitcher's mound. And I was like, stuck in like an arrow, and I was like, that's pretty wicked.
Like a lawn dart.
We actually had some old VHS video footage of it that was lost to the ages. Pity.
Ray says it'll fly once if you throw it hard enough.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine, he had what he called last flight. If he got frustrated with a model airplane, it got last flight right into the wall. But anyway, the Atlanta C-141, just real quick, go over this. It's an old Aurora kit. It's exactly what you expect it to be out of Aurora. It can doll up nice and make a great little shelf sitter. I've got 444 slugs glued into the nose section to make sure it's not a tail sitter. But
Live ammo?
what?
Were they live ammo? Or
No,
just
just
empty,
just the
empty
slugs.
casing? Oh.
When you open the box, this is the box just as I open it. And of course, Aurora has this sales brochure for a couple of books, which, by the way, if you're a aviation history, a model history buff, I highly recommend. Decent set of decals, and I think it's a copy of the original stuff. And
William Cruz says, Max, you made your Felix stove fly.
no, it did not fly. It fell. That was.
You don't know.
I wasn't there. I just found it on the floor. I don't know that it flew. The model comes in a bag, all the parts bagged up, and they have a very nice paint guide for 2 different styles. One's considered tactical, the other's considered the white and gray are considered administrative. My brother was in 141Bs, the stretch version of the same airplane, and you had to be in the white over gray administrative paint scheme to fly a diplomatic mission or to go to several of the countries, because the other ones were considered, the ones in gray or the lizard scheme, the camouflage, are considered combat aircraft. And of course you have a nice little instruction book. It's a 2-page exploded diagram of the 2 exploded diagrams. That's all it is to the instruction sheet. This is a repop of the Aurora kit with all the limitations that come with that. Obviously the engravings and everything are way too deep. If you're a rivet counter, this kit's going to drive you bonkers. But you can always seal that stuff up if you want to with putty and sand it down. It's still got the shape basically right for the A model, the short one, not the John Holmes model, which is the B model that had the plugs in it. And I think everyone in our generation catches that reference. And that is what we called them when we were in the Army. I did see A models when I was in the Army, but we only rode around in the B models. Now here is a gotcha. The very first thing you do is to glue the wheel well into the fuselage. Okay, now if you're going to make it wheels up, you don't have to do this because you'll be closing the doors. This is if you want to make it wheels down, which I plan to do. This is a little bit of a trick to get it in there, not much. Good solid glue bond. I gave the glue a while to dry, but apparently not long enough. Now here's a catch. There it is, the top one with it in place, the bottom one you can see where it goes. When I was handling the model to put the fuselage halves together, which is the next step, I accidentally pushed, because where those wheel wells are at is a natural grab point to hold the fuselage together, and I accidentally pushed one of them out of place. And once the fuselage is sealed, you can't get in there, so I had to pull it apart. That was not a happy moment. Those are the 240 grain 44 slugs that I taped up, and that was the picture I sent you, Ken, of the. I just happened to send that to you of the electrical layout of that circuit. Anyway, I used super glue, glued them in there. That stuff dried quick too. I did not have to wait long, so it should not be a tail sitter. Vintage kit, I couldn't resist. Had to go with the vintage glue. Tester's red tube, baby. Horseradish and all. And there's the wing, which if you got to trim off, you're going to do some trimming and shaving off some some flash and some burrs and things. So now I have built several of these larger Aurora kits, and one thing that is common to all of them, that plastic is pretty pliable, and the alignment pins aren't that big. You will have some issues getting the larger seams, usually across the belly and the top of the airplane, to line up just right and to be flush. The wing, I did not have that trouble with. There are inboard and outboard engines. They are labeled OB and IB, so make sure you get the right ones in the right place. After I got the wheel well glued back into place, I covered it with tape so I could not push it out of place again. And that made life go a little bit easier. Then I got the fuselage halves together. You can put the window glass, which is the only clear piece, in for the windshield, after you've done this. It will pop into place, but be careful because it can also drop inside the airplane, and then you got your hands full getting it out if you don't want to tear it apart again. It will take a fair number of clamps and rubber bands to hold this thing, but you can tell the seams are pretty noticeable. And but then again, this isn't one of those models that you're going to get then a twist about. It's not a terribly expensive kit. It's not hyper detailed. A lot of the stuff in it is like I just mentioned, a lot of the seams are overdone. So it's a fun build, a nostalgia build. The engine
and it looks pretty nice when it's done.
It does. It will make a nice shelf display. Here it is. You see the OB on these two. These are outboard engine nacelles. There's 4 parts to each one. There is the exhaust, the fan blade, and each side. And that's the OB for outboard engine. You will have to put the exhaust in when you make the engine halves, but the fan blades can fit in afterwards, so you can paint them separately, which I did. Then there's the exhaust in there, and that's supposed to be painted black. Now the fan blade, I plucked it out after I took this photo, so the fan blade is not a problem. And I put a black wash. It tells you to paint them black. I just put a black wash on it to fill in the grooves and left the spinner sort of a dirty silver, give that used look. But when we get to the belly, this is kind of the warts and all part of it. Now, some of this is because I had re-glued it, but it really didn't have a great fit, which is very common with kits of this vintage. It's just some putty, no big deal. So I, use the Tamiya gray. Unfortunately, it will leave a step unless you want to shave the step down, which is a lot of work. There probably are some workarounds, but to be honest, I'm going to have this on its wheels. You're not even going to see that, so I wasn't going to get a twist about it. And the top puttied up real nice. That should sand out pretty smooth. I'm not going to put the clear parts in until I get that all sanded down. But it's a very straightforward kit. And there's the engines getting primed and the wheels painted black.
Did you fill in the hole where it has the stand mount?
What's that? No, the stand mount. The stand mount on the belly is. I actually accidentally got some putty in there. I actually should probably just go ahead and you know what I need to cover that with. I have some of that aluminum colored Mylar tape that's used on RC aircraft. That'll make the perfect thing to patch over that. I've used it before for that purpose. But you can put a piece of plastic in there or putty it up. And it does not come with a stand, okay? But it does have the stand hole because the original kit did. And I got to be honest, it would look pretty good on a stand. Probably better than it looks with the wheels down. But
you can buy the stands from Atlantis.
I've got some that they sent me, but I warn you about one thing. That stand mounts, right, obviously you can see in the middle of the seam. You're probably going to want to reinforce it because that's a real easy thing when you stick the stand in there to split the seam accidentally. There's not much holding those seam edges together, and that's a long seam, so there's a lot of leverage on it. But overall, the kit is exactly what I expected it to be. It has neither impressed nor disappointed. It is precisely what I expected it to be. I saw the build-up at the Nats, and there's a picture of the very build-up that was there. And it does make actually a very nice looking model. I am going to paint the windows black like you see here, or dark gray. There's no cockpit detail. If you want to leave them clear, that's fine. That's not hurting anything. There's nothing inside to see. But the kit is very straightforward. It's a decent representation of the airplane. It's probably not going to win any awards, but it's a fun build. You can build in a couple of days. If it's exactly what it is supposed to be. And all that implies. If you want to get, I want all this and I want super detail, well, then go get the whatever Hasegawa kit or whatever. This is a great kit if you want to get somebody involved in model building, because there's not that many parts, nothing's hard to get to. It's just That's one thing I love about Atlantis kits. They make a lot of the old stuff that are great entry-level kits. And I've wanted a 141 for a while. My brother was a navigator on them, on the B models. And if you wanted to, if you're one of those guys who can do that kind of thing, you could hack the fuselage in half, fore and after the wing, and put plugs in. You would only be doing that to show the world that you can, because they make the B model from other companies. This is a 1:108 scale, and even at that scale, it's pretty freaking big. This is, I guess that would be box scale, but it is not a small model. It will dominate the shelf, which, good by me. But that's, I'm going to talk about it when I get it done. It actually doesn't look it'll be that hard to make it look decent, though. Basically just clean up the seams. Paint job's pretty straightforward. What I think I'm going to probably do, shoot the whole thing in primer, obviously. I'll pre-paint the engines. I'll do them separately and glue them all last. And then put the gray across the top of the wing. Once that hardens, I'll mask it off. Shoot the rest of it in aluminum. Then it's a matter of masking off the nose for the black radome. Again, the wheels will go in after I'm done painting it. And once I get that and the canopy's done, decal it, clear coat it, and put the wheels on it, and you're done. And it should make a pretty nice looking build. Unlike what he has here, and he's done a beautiful job here, I'll probably be a little more subtle and use pencil on the doors and everything instead of the wash that he has there. Because if you look at the real airplane, they just don't pop like that. But this model wasn't made to be what?
Coughed.
Huh?
I coughed.
Oh, you coughed. That's what I was laughing. But anyway, you guys will have a lot of fun with it. It's the kind of build that you can relax and enjoy, and quit picking your nose, Ken.
I'm not picking my nose. I'm rubbing my nose.
It was not a pick. It was a rub.
There's a big difference. I'm not doing this like you do, Max.
Yes, Ken, but I always put a picture up or close the camera before I do that. Especially if I'm going past the first knuckle.
No.
Yeah, it's always on the higher end of the scale, isn't it?
Well, that's where the gold is at. So anywho, there's nothing to light on this model unless you want to put the tip lights on it. But Ken's been getting a lot of phone calls from me lately because I've been in need of tech support.
I actually tried to explain to him how the circuit worked.
Yeah, that went well.
And you speak the same language. How odd.
Yeah, I still don't think he got the concept.
I've got part of it. I understand the capacitor. I understand the resistor. I understand the LED. I even understand the transistor, okay? It's just that, as you pointed out, none of these things does just one job.
Right, they're all interrelated.
Yes. That's why I was saying they have to be balanced. Put in a resistor that's too big, or a capacitor, or a there are a bunch of ways to make it not work, and one way to make it work.
Well, the values of the resistor and the capacitor can vary a little bit. Mm-hmm. There's a range in which you can change things to keep it working closely. But like you said, it's a balance. If you change one thing, you got to change something else in order to bring it back into balance so that it'll work properly.
Now, I did... Atlantis, God bless them, they sent me 2 Starlifters and 2 other SSTs. The SST is going to Ken. The other Starlifter is going to Steve. Sorry. Was that a secret? See,
I think it was.
You guys aren't the only ones that can do that. It was my day in the barrel. Oh, come on. Nobody watches this thing.
They will. They sent you free kits.
Oh, shoot. But I plan to be working on the Starlifter over the next couple of days. And I'd like to finish it. What's the date today?
Today's the 23rd.
23rd. Yeah, I'd like to have it done in a few days because I need to get on the Betty, I need to finish the Starlifter, and I want to get work on the C-57D simulator. But the C57D is being lighted. So it's got all kinds of electronic stuff that I got to do. So when I do get done with it, I won't be able to say that I built it. I'll have to say Ken and I did it, because he's been the brains of the operation. See, making all the flashy giggles work. And I have a whole bunch of stuff to do on it.
See how multi-talented I am?
When I first started this thing, I was like, oh, this will be easy. I'll just make a box to put it in, put a few lights in it, make a little room for it. We'll all be done. And it just took on a life of its own and blasted off.
Oh, yes.
And but then when I get it done, I got to find a place to put it, because it's going to be pretty big. But I want the unit that I have that has the 2 flashers that I got to work. They're right now, I'm planning to put them on the bottom as the hey, this is working light. But if I get to where I can build a few circuits on my own and make them work, then I may go other direction with it. But then when I get done with that, gosh, I have so many models stacked up that need my attention. That Jupiter 2, I want to do that because it's got all, and I want to, but first the NX01, get that lit up, get that working. Then the Jupiter 2, which has that bag of stuff I showed you, all the parts, all of the electronics. That's going to be involved. That's a process, and
It'll be fun.
Yeah, because it's going to stay at your house when I'm done, because I got no room for
it. Yeah.
But when I went to Pam's, was it Pam's Con last time? I think it was, or Model Palooza, I forget. But there were some guys that had made some sci-fi stuff that had the insides all lit up, and this is like a movie set. It was ready to start, having actors walk across the stage. It was so well done.
Oh, the Cygnus from the Black Hole.
That was great.
That was really well done.
And but the that was like the Nats too.
Yeah,
Well, I first saw that at Pam's Con. So we're not the only ones that traveled north. But the thing is that I've got so much. My shelves are full, and some of the stuff I wouldn't mind taking down to put in better stuff. But sometimes I make but once you get into lighting stuff, then comes the issue of, okay, when do I leave the lights on? Do I just turn on the lights on all my sci-fi stuff, turn out the lights in the room, and sit there with a cocktail and enjoy it? Because I could at least see me doing that.
Leave it so you can find your way to the bathroom at night.
That's what the glow-in-dark Godzilla's for.
You put a clapper control on them. You walk into the room, clap, come on. Max is contemplating this.
You
gave him an idea.
You have to be Irish. You get a joke. Clap on. Clap off.
Ken, you could have that for the tank.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Along that thought, let me tell you why that is a very, very bad idea on the tank. Okay. We got in the car today. And I put my phone in. The first time I got in that new car, threw my phone in there, and the car just latched on my phone, and all my crap was in the car, up on the screen. My home page, my music, everything. And all you have to do is say, hey, Google, and it stops and listens to what you say. Okay?
Yeah.
Which is one of the few times I'm used to that happening. But I said, hey, Google, play, Sweet Child of Mine or whatever. Okay? Music's played. My wife said something like, I forget what it was, but something like, hey, stop. And she said something, and she had an idea. Oh, hey, stop, I've got an idea. And it goes, and the music stops, and it goes, hey, song, I have an idea, or something like that. And I can't find that song. So it's always listening to you, okay?
Yeah.
And sometimes you will say something that's completely, we're just having a conversation, it picks up a couple of key words and stops and goes and does something else. All right?
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't have one in my home.
That's why I'm thinking all you need with the clapper is you have the tank set up with a clapper. Somebody slams a drawer, slams a door, and the tank takes off and attacks the dog.
Ooh, even better. Even better. Go up to the internet and go, "Hey Google, start my tank."
Why don't you get a clapper and put it in the remote control Godzilla and the tank, and then they could go at each other?
Like God intended. Okay, since you brought it up, what is the worst thing to be on in a Godzilla movie? A tall structure, a tank, or a submarine?
It's a toss-up.
It really is. Only some of the tanks got away. I don't think any of the subs did.
Fran set a record. We made it 1 hour and 23 minutes without a Godzilla reference.
I knew he was going to say that because what happened the other day at her Colonial. I was sitting there going, "Hey, do you guys have any tower structures like HO scale?" And he said, "What do you guys have?" "Well, it's not really for that. I want to put it with my Godzilla." And Fran looked at his watch. It took you 12 minutes.
Well, you got that thing I mailed you the other day, didn't you?
Which one? I got
the thing that showed that there's a company that's making like a cityscape for your Godzilla.
Oh yeah, 3D printing, and my response was about finally. Yeah. It is a pre-destroyed cityscape in scale for your Godzilla model. What was that cartoon? Somebody did a meme about California where with all the crap that's going on in San Francisco, and the problems they've been having. Godzilla comes up at the beach in San Francisco, one look and goes, "Oh crap! I guess I've already been here," and leaves.
Somebody beat me to it.
Somebody beat me to it. Yeah.
He says, "In a tank, wearing a red shirt."
Jeez. I wonder if that's like math, where a positive and a negative become a positive. If I'm in a tank but I'm wearing a red shirt, I might survive.
We've never noticed in Godzilla movies what color clothing the people are wearing that usually get killed first.
Well, normally it's Japanese civilian clothing, so
It's either brown or green.
White, mostly. The first ones to buy it in the original Godzilla were fishermen, so... but in Godzilla -1, it was all military guys. But they were mechanics, and they were wearing white, too. So, and hey, I've got a great idea. Let's give our mechanics who have to work on engines and guns and all that carbon and oil, let's give them white coveralls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And,
Sluggo says, "I just want to be out of Godzilla's line of sight."
Won't help you with the tail. Well, like my brother used to ask, although I saw in one movie they did this, he goes, "Everybody's running from Godzilla." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Shouldn't they be going sideways? If they run away from him, he's just heading towards them." And then one of the movies, they all go running up an alleyway. I was like, "Hey, they did go sideways." And he went by, so, yeah. But, oh, the height of arrogance is to be standing in the street when a Godzilla comes by and you think he's after you. But anyway, so the thing with lighting models, though, is a lot of people want their lights to flash. And just getting a circuit and getting an LED to light up, pretty straightforward. But if you want to have it, want to have them flashing and doing other stuff, now you start getting into needing potentiometers and everything and set all that stuff up. But Ken, what I'm wondering is how many LEDs do you think I could run off a 9-volt?
How long do you want the 9-volt to last?
8 hours.
Tough to say.
I'm just thinking if I was to put it on the table at one of the model shows, which I'll probably never do, I'd put the battery on, flip it on, and just walk away and let it go for the duration of the show.
It'll probably last.
We can always put a couple of 9-volts in.
Yeah, but can they be mounted in series or
parallel?
Parallel.
Now, by parallel, okay, this is where you're confused. One battery is not attached to the other battery. They're both attached straight to the light source, the lights.
Both reds and both blacks are attached to each other.
Wait a minute, the batteries are attached to each other?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
you ought to ask Killer about that. He built a couple of cars with lights. He also built one that had a radio in it.
Oh yeah,
And
a
he
working
put
radio.
and he put batteries in the trunk and put it down on the show table and left it there all day long.
But if you wire the black and the red of two 9-volts together, you don't get 18 volts.
No.
If you put them in series,
Yeah.
Now, how would you wire them in series?
black to red.
Okay, but if you go red to red and black to black, it's just a bigger gas tank at 9 volts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's just power storage at that point. Okay, that is what I would probably do. That way, just run longer. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
Or you could just get a Die Hard and throw it under the table.
Yeah, because
Or
I
you
won't be
could get,
blowing crap left and right.
Or you could get 6 AAAs. That would be a lot bigger.
Actually, Ian had one of those units with a switch built into it that had 4 AA's, and I thought about that. But since
That only gets you 6 volts.
yeah, everything I've got set up for 9 volts. Everything I have right now, and I know a lot of stuff set up for 12 volts. So it's just a matter of homework to find out what you need. But I'm trying to figure out what's feeding the 12 volt because it ain't a battery. What?
I'm not even going to read it.
Oh crap!
Sluggo said King Kong would actually rape Godzilla if they met.
Well, I think he kind of tried, didn't he, in the last one?
You guys.
Yeah, you can take the 9-year-old out of the hobby shop, but you can't take the hobby shop out of the 9-year-old.
A power bank. I'm not sure what a power bank is. I guess we'll find out in a few seconds.
Okay, here's what I'm asking you, Ken. Like that thing we're looking at today, it was a 12. They said it was a 12 volt source. All right.
Yeah.
What was providing the 12 volt source? What?
Lots of
Obviously, it
things
wasn't a
can
9
be
volt
12
battery.
volt.
What?
Lots of things can be 12 volt.
Like
You could have a 6-cell lead acid battery. It'd be 12 volts.
you know, like a car battery?
Well, they make motorcycle batteries that are 12 volts too.
Well, that's a lot of juice for a guy who wanted to run an LED.
It depends on how long you want to run them and how many LEDs you want to run. You know, that fuel tank is only so big.
Yeah.
And 9 volts don't have a whole lot of juice in them. Or, excuse me, a whole lot of power in them.
Okay. So, okay, let me ask you this simple question. A 5mm LED, one. You plug it up directly to your 9-volt battery. How long, a nice new shiny 9-volt battery, how long do you think it's going to run?
Well, if you're running it at 30 milliamps, which is what that size LED usually runs at, it'll last quite a while, probably a few days.
Okay, that's good. So if I hook up, say, a half dozen LEDs to a 9-volt, it's gonna last 6 to 8 hours.
There are also different capacity 9 volts as well. There's your regular, what were the original batteries made? I don't know. Anyway, but there's ultras and there's extras and the alkalines. You know, it all depends on how big the fuel tank is in that 9-volt battery.
Right, gotcha. They're not all created equal. I'm gonna refresh my drink right quick. You guys take the con number 1, number 2.
I'm number 1.
I'll let you guys squabble over that.
Okay, Sulu.
Sulu was not number 1.
Mike's on. Actually, it was Spock and Scotty.
Yeah.
You could be Scotty.
Sure, why not? Yeah, I don't know how. I'd have to look at the battery to figure out how much energy is in the battery before I could tell them how long the thing will run. Just don't
How
know.
much of a draw you got from the lights. And then you could
Yeah.
calculate it.
Yeah, I mean, if you got 100 LEDs,
Yeah. Well,
you're drawing an amp. or 3 amps. Excuse me. You're drawing 3 amps. I think. Let's see, 3. 10. No, you're drawing 3/10 of an amp. That's right. Which, in a battery that size, it's pretty bit. That's a lot of current. 9 volts were never designed to be high current devices. They were designed to work with electronics that needed the higher voltage. Because you ever wonder why batteries are called AA and AAA and C and D?
Nope.
You never wondered why wasn't there a B?
Nope.
Tell
us, Ken.
Back in the early days of tubes, you had to have several different batteries. One big battery you had that heated the tubes up. Okay, and then you had another battery source, but the tubes ran on 1.5. The tube heaters ran on 1.5 volts, but the electronics ran on much higher voltages, like 75 volts. And then you had another battery. I forget exactly what it was for, but you had to have more than one battery in the original portable tube AM radios to get them to work. Okay, but over the years, as electronics got a lot more efficient, a lot smaller, you only need one battery source, and the B battery, which is what supplied voltage to the heaters, just went away because they didn't need them anymore because we went to transistors.
The hell is a transistor anyway?
That's my limited take. And the 9 volts, they came out because transistor radios needed a higher voltage, but not real high, to make it work.
Memory serves me right, you used to get about a day out of a 9 volt if you were using your transistor radio all day.
That depends on how high she had the audio.
Oh, okay. So anyway, one other thing, talking about dioramas, and that is I also got some PVA glue.
Drunk is back.
I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk. You know, that's a redneck girl's mating call. I'm so drunk. But, anywho, I bought this PVA glue because I was told by some people on the YouTube that it works better than the Elmer's white glue, which I normally mix at 50% for attaching grass and stuff like that. And Ken, you do a lot of railroad work. Don't they use the PVA glue to lay the grass with model railroads?
Is what kind of glue?
PVA. Looks like white glue. It's made for scenic stuff, and it's water soluble.
Yeah. They use the static generator to make the blades of grass stand up, and then they stick it into the glue.
Static generator?
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, elucidate. And I didn't say hallucinate.
Yeah, I know.
You should.
What are those things
That's
called?
my job.
Have you ever heard of a Van de Gas generator?
I've been accused of it after a plate of beans, but... Now, come on, that was funny.
Yeah, okay. A Van de Graaff generator generates those really, really high voltages, like you would see giant sparks jump off of. It would generate thousands and thousands of volts.
Is that like the thing in the movies of rabbit ears that the zzz goes up in Frankenstein's laboratory? Or?
Well, that's called a Jacob's ladder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Van de Graaff could generate current for voltages for something like that, but it's extremely high voltage, but very low current.
So it's not as dangerous as it sounds.
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay. Because my Van de Gas generation is considered lethal.
When I remember, it only takes 70 milliamps to kill somebody.
70 milliamps, man! I can do it 22 calibers. But anyway, continue on.
And what were we talking about?
Vandegas generators. And
Why?
PVA glue and making the grass stand.
Okay, yeah. You use something like a Van de Graaff to generate really high voltages because that's essentially what static electricity is. It's very high voltage, extremely low current, and you use that to make the blades of grass stand up so that you can stick them into the glue and it looks like grass.
Cool. How do we do that?
Do what?
Make it work. So I build a diorama, I lay the glue, I pack all my grass down. How do I get this static to make it stand up?
You just run it over top of it. Just right over the top of it.
Right, but what is the...
Did you ever, okay, it works something, the principle is very similar to this.
This is not a piece of equipment I'm going to find at the hobby shop.
Probably not. But the same principle is, did you ever take a rubber balloon and rub it in your hair and then you pull it away and your hair's sticking up?
Every day.
Same principle.
Okay. I have never known anyone to do that on a diorama model. But I guess you do it at the train club?
Yeah.
Where did they get the generator?
I don't know. I never saw them do it, but I know they can do it.
Has anybody even heard of this outside of Ken? I mean, this is completely new to me.
YouTube has several videos to make your own out of an electric fly swatter. I have done so. Max,
okay.
I sent you a picture of my static generator for my static grass. Max, watch Night Shift. He has a great technique for static grass. It's a piece of equipment you find at a hobby shop. Swain, our gonculator is better than your gonculator. I can't believe Max has never heard of this equipment. Any good hobby shop that sells train stuff sells it.
I guess we're going back to Colonial Hobbies. And it's a Vandegas generator.
Well, technically it's a Van de Graaff generator, but you just call it a static electricity generator.
I don't think I do enough dioramas to make that one worth having at the house, but I can certainly see the guy who has one being the most popular model diorama guy on the block.
Trace the power line outside the house.
There you go. Trace says they're super common. He says he got one offline.
Huh?
I think he probably meant online.
Okay, I'm going to have to go over to Trey's house again. He's going to have to show me how this thing works, because if that's the case, I'm bringing all my diorama bases over to his house. Well, not the concrete ones. I bought some of that AK concrete mix. I haven't figured out how you use it yet because I haven't gotten that far, but that ought to be pretty cool for making like airplane tarmacs and stuff.
Yeah, that's what the crowd just said. My 7th grade science teacher demonstrated a Van de Graaff generator to us in class in 1970s. Yeah, that's where I saw it too.
Well, my county was a poor county.
They're not. They're very simple. They're basically a felt belt with something that rubs along. I forget what that rubs on the felt belt, and it runs up inside of a tube. And there's a little motor that turns the belt, and it goes up, and there's this big aluminum sphere up there, and that's where all the electrons get shoved up into, and then when they reach a point, they just jump out. Or you put your finger up there, it'll jump to your finger.
Just to kind of big picture this whole situation, we're on a live stream about bidding plastic models, and somehow we went into Van de Graaff generators and electrifying grass. So
yeah, we're losing viewers like the temperature in Alaska after the sun goes down.
I cannot blame them.
Are they all just tuning? Well, a lot of them are responding.
Actually,
the rest of them are going.
I gotta admit, though, the ability to make your grass stand up on a diorama is a pretty cool little thing. The PVA glue, I was actually just wondering what the advantage of PVA glue was over white glue. And they do two different... What? Did I mute you guys or something? I'm not hearing you guys.
Didn't say anything.
Oh! I saw your lips move. I didn't have any sound. I thought I hit another button again. It's gotten to the point I can't watch The Great Race because every time I hear him say Max hit the button, I'm afraid something's about to malfunction.
Or you could go to your email and at least one person sent you a picture of the thing.
All right, to the email we will go. The email we will go. Inbox.
I'm not making this stuff up.
Well, Ken, I didn't think a static generator. Here we go. Image.
You get one from Amazon for $20.
Oh, okay. That's wicked. That's very compact. Okay. Let's see. Save image as Livestream 206.
The crowd says, Max, your streams start out with models and morph into anything that distracts you.
I want to say does not, but it really does. Okay, so
this is something that a lot of people who do dioramas do because they know about this stuff. So this directly relates to modeling.
It does. That's how we got onto it. This is all very, I mean, it's incredibly interesting, but is that it?
I use the geeks and Clever says, I use the geeks and gamers PVA and flocking. Good stuff.
Okay, here's the generator. And so is this plastic bucket underneath it part of the generator, or is that just something it's sitting on?
That I don't know.
There, now you should be able to see it.
A lot of people are making mentions to squirrels.
Yeah, but Van de Graaff generator. Okay, normally I would say, yeah, that's not something I need, but I do run a channel on kit model building, and if that thing does that thing as cool as you say that thing does, and that's a half dozen episodes right there.
Oh, HNX Media says that's part of it that holds the grass.
Oh, so you put the grass in the bucket. I don't know. I have to read the instructions. I have no idea. This is interesting, though. This is really, really interesting. I will have to look into that. It's Van de Graaff. Is that how you say it?
He said, HNX Media says you shake it and it falls through a screen on the bottom of the tub.
Okay. So so let me see if I got this right. The that generator puts the static electricity in the grass before it leaves the sifter.
Yes.
So when the grass comes out and hits the glue, it's already full of static electricity, so it naturally tends to stand up.
Well, Lemur Crazy says, fill the tube up with grass, attach the electrode clip to the surface, and touch PVA, sprinkle, done.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to figure out how all that works, and at some point, that's just cool. I understand it because a lot of the grass people use is almost like a powder, like a green powder. There's nothing to stand up. But then you see them doing like the long grass, like wiregrass or something, or and they're doing fields of the stuff. And normally most of us just put a little cluster together, put a little PVA on the base, stick it up, and like a path. They don't do a whole field. And always when I've seen these fields of grass where all this grass is standing up, I'm kind of like, Jesus, they glued that in every piece at a time, but apparently they used one of these gizmos. And but so it's for longer grass. It's not for short grass.
Yeah, it's for longer stuff.
Okay, I don't normally deal with that. The only time I dealt that was a Major Pluscats Kubelwagen wreck from the D-Day build, because that was on the. Okay, that is cool. So, and I did want to talk about dioramas. Now, the other thing about dioramas, Ken, I wanted to ask you was.
Steve Jarvis says, Max, it's just part of the magic of model train layouts.
There you go. Hey, model trains have all kinds of great stuff to offer kit model builders. I just wish they made more stuff. I mean, I know O scale is 1/48, But let's face it, HO is the dominant scale.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I wish they made more stuff. Was at 187, right?
Yes, 187th.
And I just wish they made. There are a few models out there in 187. I just wish they made more, because they, you know.
Yeah, it's not a common scale for models.
I mean, Rocco does them, or Rocco, but one of the best things about this channel, about all the glue troopers, is that I don't know nearly as much as I pretend to, and most of what I've learned from the people around me. And a lot of times when I have a question, all I have to do is ask somebody out in this crowd. Usually knows the mystery behind what I'm asking, and like this, for example.
Go open the email I just sent you.
Okay, junk mail.
H&X model says, H&X Media, says you can do an entire square foot in about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's impressive. Okay, it hasn't showed up yet, Steve, but Garfield had some suggestions that I like. Okay, we have the Wild West build, the first build, and the Navy Jet. Those are the next 3 group builds we have. That takes us through January 26th. He was suggesting after that armor build. It says free for all. Well, that's kind of a group build. I mean, our normal visual viewers builds are free for alls. A crossover build, I like that, like Star Wars versus Star Trek. A seaplane build, I think we had talked about that. Box art build, we talked about that. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Oddities, that's a good one. And that's not quite right. Yeah, okay. These are good ideas. I'm gonna actually, you know what? Let me just grab this. Right click, copy, Word. I'm just gonna save this as a document. Edit. Paste.
Oh, while you're doing that, I got a quick story to tell. Edward Bender says the capacitor on an old TV and the old tube TVs can be lethal. When I was in high school, we had lots of fun with these shop lockers that we had in the theater where we kept our personal stuff. And one day I decided to wire one of these giant capacitors into one of my friend's lockers. I electrically isolated the knob from the rest of the door, and I put the capacitor across the door and the knob, put it all back together, and then charged it back up. And somebody came in during the break, and they looked like they started to touch the door, and I said, watch out, don't touch his door. Well, not 2 seconds later, he comes walking in. He had heard me. He walked over to the tool cabinet, pulled out his screwdriver that was about 1.5 feet long, because he didn't know what was going on with his door. So he went over and he started batting the lock around on his door, and he happened to go across the knob and the door, and his big old spark.
What could go wrong?
It was great. Couldn't have been better. He said, Jesus Christ, y'all trying to kill me?
You see, in the 70s, we knew how to play a practical freaking joke.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And nobody got hurt.
No,
sure they did. That was half the fun. My nephews, who are from Chicago, said something to me one day that just cracked me up. I said, it's all fun and games till someone loses an eye, and they went, yeah, then it's hilarious. You couldn't get any more Chicago than that if you tried. Okay, this is what Steve had me looking at. The Van de Graaff electrostatic generator by Renwall.
Oh, he found it. Okay.
Dude, that needs to be in the background of science fiction. The NTS, what, you know, the science fiction show where they...
I get science fiction theater needs to be playing in the background.
Yes.
But you share it with the group.
That, I mean, we gave these to kids. Can you imagine showing that, opening that as a gift on Christmas morning 2026 to a Gen Z parent or whatever it is? I've lost track, but my God, they would have freaking kittens. We did. Between that and Gilbert, we had the coolest toys. I mean, Wednesday Addams didn't have anything on us.
Dude, I didn't make up the Van de Graaff generator. I told you it was real.
I believed you, Ken.
I don't know. You seem pretty incredulous.
I'm just sitting there going, yeah, right. They got one of these at the train club. Like, no, what the hell they do, actually. Model trains. For
Picture getting that Christmas morning.
I'd have been in the basement with a screwdriver and batteries so fast. Me and my brother would come up with our little short hair standing on here. Hello,
Hook it up to the doorbell.
Thank you, we've been young.
Yeah, you'd hook it up to the doorbell.
Very Home Alone.
Uncle Bob's coming over for Christmas. Let's hook up the doorbell.
Hey, look what it did to the pacemaker. I didn't know it messed up his pacemaker.
That's probably why they don't sell them anymore.
One of the best episodes of Taxi. Louis is driving. He's talking about when he was driving the car, when he was a driver before he's a dispatcher. And this kid in a preppy suit gets in, and his father's like, listen, here's $1,600 in cash. This is for your meals and tuition. It is not to start an armed insurrection or attempt to take over a small country. It is not to invest in wild business ventures. I was like, I don't know who this kid is, but he's going to be president someday. Young Donald Trump, maybe. It's like, it is not for initiating armed insurrections of third world countries. I was like, I want to party with that guy.
The crowd says, never trust a tinfoil toilet seat.
Fry the crap out of him.
Really?
Oh, God. I tell you what, it's like Uncle Fester with a light bulb in his mouth. But
Well, they sold those.
oh, my God.
When the show came on, they sold those light bulbs, and you unscrewed it, you put a battery in it, and when you touched it on your tongue, it made it light up.
You completed the circuit. Well, between that, Gilbert and Renwall, man, how did we survive the 60s?
Oh, and then atomic energy kit. Don't forget that.
That's Gilbert. That's what I was Gilbert, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I would love to get my hands on one of those. I know just the kid I'd give it to.
Lead-line gloves.
I know just the kid I'd give it to, too.
It's like Sheldon trying to build an anti-proton laser to get the neighbor's dog. Oh, Lord. Well, guys, I hope you had a good time this evening. We've just about come to the complete conclusion. Just thought I'd share this. Guys. Apparently, Barnes & Noble is now carrying the original 3D Godzilla crystal puzzle. And by the way, those things are a little trickier than you might think. Somebody sent me one. I was like, wow, I thought this was going to be a quickie. It's not.
Well, that's because they don't come with instructions.
Well, that's the whole idea. Are you smart enough to own your own Godzilla? Well, guys, I hope the sound has been okay tonight. I really got sophisticated with it. I just stuck the microphone over by the speaker. Fortunately, the Yeti mic is so good, I can sit here 4 feet away from it. It's still picking me up okay. And my alarm went off at 5:20 live stream prep. I was like, holy crap, it's I lost track of the fact that today was Saturday. And I got things going on during the week off and on, so I don't know how much material I'll be getting out. But my two big focuses right now are the Aurora Starlifter and the Tamiya Betty, to make sure I get that done in time. And I know we've got all of September. I'm not really in as big a rush as that sound. But I'm going to start playing with these electronics because I want to be able to do that NX01 and do it justice. And I think I'm going to start moving into lighting kits. I saw so many beautifully lit kits, especially the science fiction stuff, that it's, well, Ken, you were talking earlier about how the lighting just makes it pop.
Yeah, it just adds a whole new dimension to it.
And I just don't want to become one of those. Well, I'm not going to be lighting most of the stuff I build. It'll mostly be sci-fi, maybe car headlamps or something. We've got a couple of Blue Troopers that light up the lights on their cars and the instrument panels, and it does look really good. But
The crowd says Max's alcohol absorption level has been achieved. Time to go.
that and dinner awaits. But
Godzilla.
well, before we go, let me toss this one question, and I don't need an answer right now, but just something to chew on. Guys, if a lot of times these live streams, and I'm sure this will shock you to know, they're pretty much pulled out of our backsides at the last minute because stuff goes on, and sometimes we're lucky we have something planned for, like we had Scott on and some other stuff. But a lot of them, I sit here and just go, what should we do a live stream about? And if you have something you think we ought to cover, just pop me off an email at maxismodels@yahoo.com. And if it's something we can cover, we will. And that's it for this evening. Guys, I'll let you say your adioses and we'll be out of here.
Good night, guys. Thanks for coming on. We hope you enjoyed yourself, and we look forward to seeing you on the next live stream.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate you here. The depth of, again, the depth of knowledge of you guys just never ceases to impress me. So many people out there just know what this stuff is about, and I never even thought anybody would. Anyway, we enjoyed having you. We enjoy watching the comments. We can't say everybody's, but we try to get to the good ones. Some of them are really good. And I hope you all have a good week, and we'll see you next weekend.
Guys, as far as I know, we will have a live stream next Saturday night. If the river don't, they say a good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. I'm still collecting information from Eric and Paul about Lincoln models. I'm working on a history video for them and Key Color. And hopefully Eric and Paul and I will be able to have a Zoom session sometime next week. We're talking about New Zealand, California, and Florida, so we're all over the clock. Anyway, Fran, Trey, Scott, thanks for dinner and everything. A good time. Probably seeing you guys again for too long. Bruce, I'll get down to Daytona sometime. We get together, get those models swapped. Guys, you take, and Ken, you should come up and I'll give you your SST, and me and Bruce can have lunch together or something. It's only a 2-hour drive for you, and that's a price I'm willing to pay. So
Somebody's got to do it.
You can start at the in advance and bring your sailboat. And I still have that trawler. I still have the boat I'm going to build when I go down there. We're going to build a boat on your boat at some point. Okay. Guys, take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.